Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to respond to a post from a person who unfortunately lost their job recently and is wondering how it's going to affect their future employment opportunities. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the title is Dismissed from Job Early in Career. How do I stop this from being a hindrance in future job applications? Okay, so I'm devastated. I've just been dismissed from my job. I will also have to move out from my place and back to my parents' city. Just some background, I'm at the end of my 20s. I graduated as a mature student with limited professional work experience. I've been working in IT, software management role, for just under a year. I have been dismissed because they didn't think I could handle the role. Long story short, I'm going through some mental health issues which has significantly impacted my ability to work, but I never disclosed this as it was very difficult for me. My biggest fear that's making me hopeless is that I've killed my career in its infancy. How do I apply for another role? Who'd want to hire someone approaching 30s that's been dismissed for being unable to do the job? And if I don't put my job experience on my CV, then I will have nothing to show and have a huge gap. One thing I should add is I wanted and expected when getting into my current role as a graduate to move into a technical role, a software development, as I was told there are opportunities in this during recruitment. I was, however, shoehorned into a non-technical IT governance role when I had no interest in IT management whatsoever. Question is, can I even apply for a development role or take my career down that road? Will it now even be possible, or can I not work in IT? I should add I'm from the UK. Well, first thing I want to say, dude, I'm really sorry about your situation. It can definitely be a shock to the system as you kind of figure out what to do and try to get your life in line. I totally know how that goes. In my first job out of college, I really struggled with the job that I got, and I didn't get fired, but I'm under no illusion that I wouldn't have gotten fired if I had stayed on. So I quit and decided to move back home because it was a job that was quite a bit of ways from my family. So anyways, I fell into a sort of depression after that and basically didn't come out of my room for a couple of months because I was afraid to face friends and even family and have them think of me as a failure. And I was also afraid to apply to other jobs because I figured if I fail again, or if I failed once, I'll fail again. And if I get fired again, then I'm really done for. So I guess I want to start by saying the first thing you can do is not do what I did and allow yourself to feel like it's 100% on you. When I finally did reach out to friends, they were actually mad at me for not letting them know I was back in town because they just wanted to hang out with me and were glad I was home. Not a single person cared about what happened at my job. That was something that was all in my head. As I started going out and trying to live as normal of a life as I could, I was able to get that spark that I had back, and I got my confidence back. And when I did find a job that I really wanted, that I applied to, I came in with a renewed sense of purpose and passion. And I ended up getting the job where I stayed for 7 years until I moved on to something else. And one of the things they told me in the interview, or after the interview, that when they said why I got the job was because I was just so excited and I was so passionate for that specific job. So the point is, try to get back into the swing of things, be around friends and families. You got to let go. You didn't get caught committing a violent crime, and, it may seem like it right now, but it isn't the end of the world. A lot of people who are really successful actually get fired from, actually most people in general get fired from at least one job in their lifetime. And if you look at, again, a lot of successful business people, a lot of them had been fired from at least one job as well. So getting fired it's not the end all be all. It just didn't work out. Next time, well, think about it this way first. If you were to quit a job, does the business close and say, well, somebody quit because they didn't like the job, so we have to close our business because we failed as a business? No, it's kind of like, they move on. If you quit, you got to move on after they let you go. It's just sometimes that's just, unfortunately, it's not always going to work out the way you think it is, and you just have to move on from there. Once the dust settles, take a bit of time to actually sit down and write out what you could have done better and what you can work to fix, and when you identify those things that you're like, oh, maybe that's one of the reasons I didn't do so well. Maybe it was my time management. Maybe it was my ability to not follow through. Those are things that you can actually work on, like you can actually come up with a plan to get better. And if it's like a technical skill that if it was something like they wanted you to give like presentations in front of large groups, and you aren't good at that, and that's one of the reasons you got let go, and you have no interest of doing that in the future, think of, don't apply to positions that are going to require that in your future. Now, I know they did a bait and switch on you, but that's where you can kind of ask, questions. And speaking of which, the fact that they pulled a sort of bait and switch on you that's not on you at all. Another person said it best earlier in a comment where they mentioned that you could actually bring that up if that comes up in an interview. Be honest and say, hey, you know what? I applied for this job and this is what I thought, based on what the job posting was and how the interview went. I thought I was going to be doing these things, which I'm really good at. But it actually turned out that wasn't what the job was. And I actually ended up really struggling because my skill set didn't match that. That's totally okay. You can even spin it to highlight your strengths. You could say, like I said, you were hired for a certain, role and you were expecting to use these skills, and you can be like, I'm really good at data analysis and troubleshooting and, whatever you do in IT. But, the job wasn't that. So it didn't allow me to develop, and grow the skills that I already do have. So you can flip the script and turn it into something that shows what you're capable of doing. Being really aware of your weaknesses and shortcomings actually is a really good thing, to talk about in an interview, because it shows how you are developing and growing as a person. A lot of places don't necessarily care if you got fired. They want to know what you're doing to fix it. They want to know how you're going to bounce back. If you got fired and you're like, well, I just feel really bad, and you have this sort of just bad attitude about it, they're not going to be like, well, it's just to be a person, if we hire him and he makes a mistake, he's just going to be like, not going to be able to work through those issues. They want to know, like, hey, if this person makes a mistake, is he going to bounce back? So think about that when you're talking to them and when they're asking you those questions. So you got to remember, again, you weren't a bad employee. It's not like you were harassing people. You weren't insubordinate. You got a bad deal with the type of job you were hired for. What you thought you were going to be doing. So, just again, it's not 100% on you. And no, your career isn't killed. In fact, now you'll have a better idea of what to ask when you go in for an interview and they ask you if you have any questions. You can ask, the job posting says I'm going to be doing this. What percentage of my job is going to be that? Are there any things in this job that weren't listed on the job description that I'm going to be required of me in the future, or do you see this job changing over time? On your CV, highlight the things that you've done that are relevant to the job you're applying, and that's it. You might not even be asked what happened, or if they do ask you, you can always just say it wasn't a good fit from both perspectives, which is the truth, and leave it at that. You don't have to tell them if they don't ask. So the ball's really, or you're kind of in control. I know it kind of feels like you don't have a lot of control, but don't let something like this define the rest of your career. It happens. Even if it happens again sometime down the road, again, it doesn't define you. You're not defined by some manager that didn't like a project you did. That's not who you are as a person. You're a good worker. You know what your strengths are. You know what you like to do. You just got to find the right fit, and that's okay. We're all working through that. So it's going to be tough for a while, but, stay positive. Again, if you have some mental health issues going on too, don't be ashamed to let your supervisor know if it's affecting your work. They may be more sympathetic than you think. I can tell you from experience when I've been going through things, I've gone out of my way to say, hey, talking to my boss, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I want this conversation to stay between the two of us, but, I've been going through some things and it's affecting me. I'm still working hard. I'm still getting everything done, but I just wanted to let you know, as a professional, if you notice anything, that's what's going on. I just want to let you know. And they may be like my boss was actually like, hey, I'm really glad you told me. I've had things like that happen in my life, and I've had, people in my family go through this too, so I totally get it. And that actually opened up a real sort of bond I had with my supervisor where, like, they would check on me and be like, hey, you good? I just want to make sure everything's good with you, So it doesn't make you look weak. It lets them know that you're dealing with some things. And as a supervisor, if they're a good supervisor, they need to be able to help you because you're not a robot. It's not like you're a defective robot and they just replace you. We're human beings. We have emotions. Your whole life isn't just your job. There are things that are going to affect you at your job that come from outside your job and vice versa. So as a supervisor, they need to understand that. Anyways, I hope this helps at least a little bit. If you'd like to speak with me more, definitely reach out to me. Like I said, I've definitely gone through similar experiences as you, so I kind of can relate. And, also, feel free to check out my website, www.pbeatty.com. You can download a free copy of my ebook there. It's actually a problem-solving guide, which may have some useful information for you on how to develop a process to kind of feel more in control of what's going on with you. So you can get back on your feet and, attack the next step. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and we will see you all soon.